Welcome to NEXTGames video on how to solo Ramuh Prime on Very Difficult. This is one of November 2019's monthly objectives, so I thought it would be a good time to do this video. This video is done on the very difficult difficulty, but these same strategies can be used on the lower difficulties to get some practice. Ramuh is one of the more challenging avatars to fight due to the abundance of nasty moves that he can use. As with all avatar fights, one of the tricks is to make sure we are proking to remove the necessary damage reductions while hopefully saving some procs for the Ja spells. To proc on Ramuh Prime, you'll need to complete the following task during the readying of a TP move or the casting of a spell. His physical resistance can be removed by using magic during one of these periods of time. This is the most important proc to get as quickly as possible, as it will allow you to get as much damage in as possible. You can either use a ninjutsu spell while he is casting, or wait for one of your trusts to do it, which usually happens pretty quickly in the fight. His magical resistance can be removed by using a weapon skill while he is casting. This is the least reliable proc to achieve, as it only seems to have about a 25% success rate. However, since you will be weapon skilling so much, this will usually just proc on its own pretty quickly. His ranged resistance can be removed by using an ability while he is casting. This is the one you want to save until he is using a Ja spell so that you can interrupt it. You can also use this to interrupt Thunderspark or Thunderstorm if you are quick, which are two of his other very damaging abilities. Sadly, his end spell damage cannot be removed by this setup as it needs a pet job. Therefore, you will need to contend with his potent 500 to 800 per swing end spell damage. This means that you can often take 1500 to 1750 damage from a single round of attacks on this difficulty. Migawari will also not help you with this, since it's considered two separate forms of damage and two separate attacks. Therefore, you really need to make sure that you keep up shadows at all times. Therefore, I recommend you keep up a minimum of 3 shadows at all times, and anytime you see him readying Thunderspark, Chaotic Strike, or Judgment Bolt, or if you know that the casting of Thunderjaw is going to land, get ready to cast your shadows as soon as that hits you so that you can get them up before his next attack round. For Trust, we are using Seth to continually restore HP, MP, and TP to the party, Ulmia for March, Kurumuru for Haste, Kupipi and Yoran Oran for Cures. Now we're using 2 white mages in this fight because at times, Ramuh can put out a lot of AoE damage and we need to be able to contend with that and cure all of our party members back up to full. Now the start of this fight is very important. You want to start with Kaka, Migawari, and Gekka up. And I also like to open with a Blade Kamu to lower his accuracy and for a good amount of hate since we don't have Provoke to start with. I'm doing this by using my Ambuscade Katana. Now this isn't exactly necessary for you to do, but it does help the start of the fight. At the start of the fight, if he tries to ready Thunderspark or cast Thunderjaw before buffs are up, be sure to interrupt it right away with Stutter Step or a weapon skill. Often Trust will also proc their yellow magic spell damage during this beginning part of the fight. Now after you have established hate, you want to pull him over to the corner like I have here to try and make as few of your Trust as possible in range of his AoE spells. Now inevitably some of them are still going to get hit, but if you can get it so that 2 or 3 of them are out of range, it will help you substantially in this fight. You want to make sure that you have Migawari up at all times, as it will often save you from nearly getting killed by Thunderstorm. You will also want to enfeeble Ramuh as much as you can with Urine, Blind, and Slow. Thunderspark is one of his more damaging moves, as it will normally hit everyone for 1200 to 1500 damage, as well as paralyze you. You will want to make sure that you start casting your shadows as soon as it lands, and then immediately follow that up with a Healing Waltz. You can also reverse this order if you fear that the paralyze is going to interrupt your shadow cast. However, doing so leaves you open to a round of melee hits that may finish you off. Additionally, that paralyze may also just eat your Healing Waltz, and then you're even in a worse situation. So I find that it's normally best to just go ahead and recast your shadows first and then deal with the paralyze. Thunderstorm can hit you for upwards of 3000 damage, and it will completely ignore your shadows, so this is the main reason why Migawari is so important during this fight. Now if Migawari is up, this spell is just going to bounce right off you and do 0 damage. It'll also leave your shadows up. All that's left to do is just go ahead and recast Migawari and you're good to continue fighting. Chaotic Strike can also hit you for upwards of 2500 damage and leave you stunned for a very lengthy period of time, leaving you vulnerable to both melee attacks and his other abilities and spells. This move can be stopped by having 3 shadows up, which is why I recommend you keep the minimum of 3 up at all times. If 3 or more shadows are up, it will simply eat those shadows, it will not stun you. All you need to do is recast your shadows, and you can get back to the fight. He can also use the ability Lightning Armor, which will give him shock spikes and make it so that when you hit him, it's going to stun you. Koromoro is usually good at getting rid of this, but sometimes it takes him about 30 seconds, so be patient. The last thing we need to talk about is Judgment Bolt, which is his Astral Flow ability. This will usually hit you and your trust for about the same 1500 damage that Thunderspark hits you for. Fortunately, it doesn't paralyze you, but it will reset all of his procs. So once those are reset, try and use them as efficiently as you can throughout the fight to stop his moves before his next Judgment Bolt. Now, what I would recommend with Ramuh is that you go ahead and try and do that magic proc as soon as you can, therefore you're dealing as much physical damage as you can, and then trying to save the weapon skill proc, as unreliable as it is, and especially your ability proc, for stopping some of his further abilities down the road, such as Thunderspark and of course his Ja spells. That's enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and see how the last 2/3 of this fight goes. Enjoy the fight, everyone. And that's it. I hope you found that video helpful and you can use it this month to beat Ramuh on the highest difficulty you can. If you have any questions, go ahead and post it down there in the comments. And everyone have a good week.